Tik-Tok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. We're a couple hours early tonight because we've got a bunch of other topics to cover in the coming days. And this one was kind of short, but people kept asking. About Michael Knowles' response to TikTok Dawah. TikTok Dawah. AP, you heard of this TikTok platform? I've still only been on that site a couple of times, and that was to get a video. Well, I remember years ago, and everyone was telling me I had to get on TikTok, and I went over and clicked on TikTok, and it was all like teenage girls dancing in bikinis and crap. And I was like, I'm not going on this site. Apparently it's changed since then, and there's other stuff. But when people told me to go on, I had to go on TikTok. That's exactly what it was.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't changed.
It's not the same thing.
Oh, wait, we were live. I thought we were practicing.
No.
Yeah, so it hasn't changed much, I would say. It's like, I don't know what it is. It's kind of there's a weird thing going on. I'm not sure if it's because it has like a different setting for depending on what demographic you're from, whether you are a man or a woman, or maybe both sides just get it. But you open TikTok and you start getting sucked into girls dancing. And then you have to really like and dislike and save and dismiss things in order to make it break down something for you. But then it's also such a weird system that when you start watching videos like debunking Islam or things like that, it also leads you to people converting to Islam. So it's such a poisonous platform. It's like
sounds like pure absolute steaming. Sounds like a steaming pile of garbage.
Yes.
Indeed. So anyway, guys, we wanted to go through Michael Knowles' video, but later tonight, 8 o'clock p.m., I'll be live with Robert Spencer for This Week in Jihad. So we went a little early so that our European friends can stop whining so much. Oh, we stay up so late. Okay, I'll give you a couple hours early tonight. That make you feel better? That make you happy?
Yeah.
So AP, you know anything about this Michael Knowles guy?
I believe I do. Yeah. Was an actor. Used to have acting scenes in strange ways, and then became a comedian, and now he's a political commentator.
Is all that true?
Yeah.
He was an actor?
Yeah, you should go and look at his old acting videos. Yeah, or maybe you shouldn't look. I don't know.
He needs to change the name Knowles, because if you look at how it's spelled, it looks like it's no less.
Yeah,
Michael no less. I'm thinking how lame it would be to use that as a nickname for someone to make fun of them. But if he's around a bunch of nerds in school, that would be Michael no less. You know less about our chemistry exam than I do. Michael Knowles. Hang on, here we go. He's an American conservative political commentator, YouTuber, author, and media host. He has worked for the Daily Wire since 2016.
Ooh.
Bedford Hills, blah, blah, blah. Descended from Italian, Sicilian, and Irish immigrants.
Nice. I have to say, so I don't really watch these, like the Daily Wire guys very much, but from what I have seen so far from him and with his interactions with others, he's a very nice guy. And
Is he?
Yeah, he's a very nice guy who even when you criticize him is just nice to you, you know. I did a thing in the past where I called them out.
The Daily Wire?
Yeah, all of them for their refusal to like condemn Andrew Tate in the face of like him being hosted there and so on, and all he did was just
Ben Shapiro just blasted him.
No, that was long in the past.
Michael Knowles blasted him too. What are you even talking about, man?
I know this was in the past.
You see, everyone. You see, AP called them out, and then they all changed their tune pretty quick. Like
all he did was respond to me with a video in which he responded to Andrew Tate and called him kind of like a weirdo and pervert and stuff. So
in your face,
he's
in
cool.
your face.
He's cool.
Yeah, seems all right. Let's see though. Let's see acting. So yeah, I looked it up. Acting. Before graduating from Yale University, Knowles participated in 2 web series, Never Do Business with Friends and Survive. Upon graduation, Knowles trained with Win Handman at his acting studio in New York City and appeared in various web series, films, and television shows. It was reported in March 2023 by the Daily Dot that Knowles appeared in the student film House of Shades 2012 as a queer man that seduces another man at a nightclub. Oh, don't let Andrew Tate hear that one. Don't let Andrew Tate hear that one. And let's see, after moving to Los Angeles, he acted in the television pilot of I'm Back and in the television movies Life Coach and Blend In. He also starred as Alejandro in the comedy film Hollyweird. Alejandro. That's funny. All right. So now he is a political commentator. Looking down at personal life, Knowles is a practicing Catholic, and he attends the traditional Latin Mass.
Based.
Very based, very based, very based. Well, that's...
See, why are you mocking him? He's a good guy. He's a cool guy. See?
I didn't mock him. You mocked him. You're like, oh, look at his dumb name. No, it sounds like no less.
No
Come
less.
on. Come on, grow up, man. Quit making fun of people for their names. I mean, your name is Red Van. Come on.
I know, and I'm not even a van.
Yeah, I know. All right, we get a couple super chats. Let's take a couple super chats and we'll check out the video. He's going to be responding to Sheikh Uthman Ibn Farouk, a TikTok video, and to Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. So 2 of the best, but that's not saying much if you're talking about Dawah. Dawah's pretty bad all the way down, but those are two of the best, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be coming with their strongest points and strongest evidences, and Michael Knowles is going to have to react. Here we have from Sarah, me deciding it's better to catch end of stream at 5 a.m. rather than the beginning at 2 and falling asleep midstream. Dawood, let's stream 2 hours earlier. Exactly. Powerful. Now you know. Can't wait for Michael Knowles to realize the great prophet's wisdom. The eyes are the leather strap of the anus. Yeah, if he's going to react to clips, someone should have sent him your buddy Daniel Hakikachu defending the eyes are the leather straps of the anus.
The eyes are the leather strap of the anus.
It'd be funny if Michael Knowles was like, wow, that's so powerful. Now I have to leave Catholicism and become a jihadi. Thank you for starting early-ish midnight here. Would you consider doing a show on women's rights in Islam, given all that is going on in Afghanistan lately? We could.
Yes.
We could. Definite possibility. There's some creepy stuff. Going on in the world that has a lot to do with Islam. And I don't know if anyone's noticed, but wherever you go, you notice problems between Islam and women. We're talking about Afghanistan, talking about Pakistan, talking about the UK, wherever you go. They definitely got a problem.
Well, speaking of, if we talk about Islam and women's rights, we would have to address the fact that Islam is the first religion that gave women rights. It is the first religion that gave women that gave women rights when there were no rights, when there were no women, and that in fact brought women into existence and brought rights into existence before it brought women into existence. So powerful.
That is true. And it's one of the things we can all be grateful to Islam for. Daniel Apologetics. Guys, be sure to follow Daniel Apologetics. He says, Alan is blasting at jinns on the sky in Europe now. They having a meteor shower?
Oh.
You don't know what we're talking about. If anyone's new and you don't know what we're talking about, the Quran over and over again talks about, and you find the same thing in the Hadith where it gets expanded upon. But the idea is that when you see a shooting star, it's actually a missile that Allah has hurled at a demon, and it's a real star, right? So the stars you see in the sky, those, according to the Quran and the Hadith, are missiles. They're Allah's self-defense system for when demons try to sneak into paradise to hear what he's plotting. Because remember, Allah's the best of plotters. He's the best of planners and so on. So Allah's always planning. He's always coming up with awesome plans. But the demons try to sneak into paradise so that they can hear Allah's plans, and then they run back and they tell soothsayers and false prophets what Allah's plans are, so that the soothsayer or the false prophet can predict the future, and then they'll lead people astray and so on. But sometimes Allah catches them. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes He catches them, right? And they try to sneak in, they try to listen, they hear a little bit of the plan, and then they take off running because Allah turns around and He's like, hey, what's going on over there? Hey, who's that? Hey, you're not supposed to be in here. And then the demon takes off running. So Allah grabs a star. He just grabs a star like, hey, here, Beetlejuice. And He flings it at the demon. And then what you see that as a shooting star shooting across the sky. That's what you see. Guys, everything I just said is Quran and Hadith. It's all correct.
It is beautiful and powerful Islamic knowledge, and there is no doubt about it. No doubt about it. This is directly from the Quran, directly Quranic knowledge. Muhammad delivered all of this to us when nobody knew, when people were ignorant and stupid.
People didn't even know that.
He delivered this to us. He went around, he was sitting there with his companions. He asked them, he said, do you guys know what this is? Like when you see shooting star, which people colloquially call shooting star, it has nothing to do with stars. He said, do you know what this is? And they were like, oh, Allah and His messenger knows best. And some people made some stupid suggestions, and he's like, stupid idiots.
He was like, come on, don't be gay. I'll tell you the truth about these stars.
But yeah, and then he told this whole story. And this is directly in the Quran. Directly in the Quran. Not only are stars used as missiles thrown at rebellious devils, so it's basically Allah having His own iron dome, like Israel.
Muslims should be using that. They should be, Israel just copied Allah's original iron dome. You see, we do come up with all the technology.
You see? Anyway, continue.
What do the Dawah guys have in common with their girlfriends? They're both sheep. That's very rude. The Dawah guys aren't sheep. Mosh Cohen, hey, what's up, Mosh? He says, I love Knowles, my favorite Daily Wire guy. Oh, that's interesting.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I just remember them. The first time I ever saw those, I think it was Michael Knowles and the other guy, is Jeremy? Jeremy, the guy who runs the place? Yeah. And they were just, like, for 10 minutes straight making fun of soccer. And I was like, oh, I like these guys because I make fun of soccer too. But they were doing it really, really well. They were pretty brutal.
That's pretty bad.
Opinions. Are we planning on doing a show on this, AP? Opinions on the Gaza ceasefire hostage deal? What are you thinking?
I'm kind of letting it sink in right now, and might be talking about that tomorrow. People have very strong opinions about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one thing that you can remark at this very moment is you can see how the very same people who cried, genocide, at the end of the world, we've been ethnically cleansed. Israel, Gaza has been destroyed, Palestinians are destroyed, genocide.
5 seconds later.
People, immediately, as soon as news of the ceasefire deal came out, they're like, yeah, victory.
Yes, Israel has been humiliated. And then they start screaming their Kaibar thing.
And the thing is, people predicted this. And I said it. Many others said it. We said it the entire time. All these cries for help and this genocide.
It was all fake. It was all meant to manipulate morons.
It's just manipulation. Nobody is genocided. And in the end, if they get what they want, even if only one piece of land it remains in their hands and two people are alive with half their limbs missing, they will still say, yeah, you see, victory. You've been humiliated. It's so ridiculous. And Israel should not entertain this anymore. And the fact that the world actually entertains this and gives Hamas and Gazans a little bit of what they want is just shameful at this point.
Yeah, everyone. So I've already shared my sort of introductory thoughts on it on first glance at the deal. Pointed out Israel always had two main goals: one, get their hostages back, and two, end Hamas. End Hamas. Those are the two main goals, and that's why it was always said that Hamas could end the war at any point, hand over the hostages and surrender. That's it. It's done. The war's over. They refused to do that and so on. And said all along the way that for people who are just screaming ceasefire, 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 there's a really important reason not to do that, because in the mind of these jihadis, it's, hey, if we go over there, kill a bunch of people, take a bunch of hostages, and we just run and hide eventually they'll give up and stop looking for us. And so that's kind of you don't want to prove them right at that, because that sort of sets a precedent for the future. Hey, all we have to do, we can go on a killing spree and then run and hide, and then other people will get killed on the surface, but we'll be fine hiding in our tunnels and so on. So you don't want to leave people with that message, and that's why I've said, as far as this deal, Netanyahu's been pretty steadfast in his claim that he's going to wipe out Hamas and so on, and that he's not backing down until Hamas is crushed. Therefore, if Israel's taking this deal, what I said the other day when we were live is there must be another deal behind the deal. You know what I mean? In other words, it's, hey, Israel, I know you don't want to take this deal. I need you to take it. Here's what you're going to get in return later. And Israel has looked at that and said, oh, that, I don't know what that is, but, oh, that is worth it. We will agree to this deal to get this other thing that we want. And AP's pointed out this may be things like normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia or something like that. But we'll see.
That's what they do.
Let's see. Oh, dang! Then a bunch of super chats came in real quick. Let's go ahead and watch. Let's go ahead and watch the first bit of this, and then we'll take a couple more super chats. Michael Knowles, ladies and gentlemen, is about to be based.
I believe there's no guest today. There's no game today. These are just clips that Professor Jacob has found me that will require my extemporaneous theological analysis. Is that right? Okay, I'll take your silence as either assent or evidence that you've just fallen asleep in the control room. Take it away.
You yourself said God can't be killed, then you said Jesus was killed. Come on,
For the purpose. No, for the purpose.
Hey, listen.
For the purpose of dying for our sins. And I'm never.
Was God killed?
I wouldn't say God can't. Hold on. Let me rephrase. God cannot be destroyed.
Was God killed?
God cannot be destroyed.
You're not answering the.
Yeah, everyone getting this? So this is Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk. Hey, what do we know about Sheikh Uthman ibn Farouk, AP?
Faked hate crimes against himself and put ketchup on his clothes.
Wait, what?
Put in his blood.
What? Was that him?
Yeah.
Wait, is that the guy who blamed us after he faked a hate crime? He faked a hate crime against himself and then started calling us out. Where David and AP to condemn this? Look at this! Look at what their fans are doing to me! And it was just fake blood.
In fact, before it was even public, in the first video where he announced that he was just attacked, he called us out and was like, "And where are David Wood and AP condemning this?" Like we didn't even know.
Yeah, I've said before, I was on a plane and I got off and I'm getting all this messages. David, why aren't you responding to this? Is it because you approve of this attack? What are you talking about? So then, yeah, so guys, you got so many different things here with this dude. So you've got the fake hate crimes, and he decided to do the fake hate crime because he did a little fake note about himself before. Like while he's live on camera, he gets this note. And this was attached to my car. It's, hey, Sheikh Uthman, you will stop with your powerful Dawah. We will not allow you to show the world the truth. And some idiotic nonsense like that. And then he does his video, we will not back down, and Muslims around the world, oh, alhamdulillah, our hero. So then he decides to up the ante, squirts fake blood on himself, and like we examine you could actually see the spray, like where it's sprayed. This is not a wound that blood is leaking out of. This was sprayed on his shirt from outside. But anyway, he put fake blood on himself. Then he claimed that he was stabbed by an Islamophobe. And then the guy was arrested and went to trial and was convicted and sentenced and is in prison now. Only problem is people went and asked the police department, no record of any of this, checked with the courts, the prosecutors. No one has ever heard about any of this. And so apparently the guy who stabbed Sheikh Uthman was some sort of ninja. And they just can't detect him going through the entire system as he's sitting in prison, and just no one knows about him being in prison. So there's that, and then
there you go. See, there you go. You claim it's a fake hate crime. You say he faked it, and then you're giving the explanation right there. Apparently, he was a ninja or something. So see,
yeah. Sometimes when you see someone in a burqa, it's actually a ninja.
Yes.
in one of these awesome plots. So that was that. If that wasn't bad enough, then his buddy, one of his Dawah buddies, said, and I think Sheikh Uthman like performed the marriage or something like that. But later on, the guy was like, "Hey, this young, pretty blonde girl, she's talking disrespectfully to me. Can you give her marital advice?" And Sheikh Uthman like, "Sure, I'll talk to her." And then Sheikh Uthman calls his buddy back. "Hey, she's not interested in you anymore. Sorry, bye." And then Sheikh Uthman starts banging her, right? Only problem is she's still married to this dude. They didn't get divorced. So Sheikh Uthman he's committing adultery, zina. And then Sheikh Uthman marries her. And then she's married to both dudes at the same time. This is one of the most powerful da'is on the planet, according to Muslims. But we're not done. We're not even done.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. Then Jai and DOC did a show about Sheikh Uthman's first wife, so not his new wife that he got from his buddy who sent his wife to Sheikh Uthman for marital counseling before Sheikh Uthman banged her. But his original wife filed court papers like a restraining order, and she's listing all the things he's done, and he's like threatens her with a gun, and he chokes her. He like choked her during sex and stuff like bad, like Andrew Tate type stuff. So anyway, that's the guy you're dealing with here. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, has any of this?
Wait,
you're talking.
You're
talking about a guy who fakes hate crimes against himself for attention to dupe morons who are so gullible that they'll just eat it up. Commits adultery with a Muslim woman who's married to another Muslim who was his Dawah buddy. Is massively abusive towards women and so on. Any of this at all, even slightly bother any of his fans.
Well, here's the thing. In Christianity, you have a concept which you call Christ-like. In Islam, you don't really have the concept, but you have something else, which is the Sunnah. And but if you had something like it, you could call it Muhammad-like, and you could argue that Sheikh Uthman is very much Muhammad-like.
He is. So. He's being very, very Muhammad-like. Everyone, just remember, Surah 4, verse 34. Wife gets out of line, you smack and beat her into submission until she does what you say. And if you want to know, if you listen to people, no, it just refers to tapping someone lightly with a toothbrush or something. My goodness, read the hadith. Muslims were beating their wives until their skin turned green, and Muhammad would condemn the woman for being a bad wife. Her husband had to beat her. Poor man had to beat you until your skin turned green. You must be a really, really bad wife. Aisha herself in that same hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, Aisha herself in that same hadith said, "I have not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women. Look, her skin is greener than her clothes." Talking about this woman who's wearing a green dress, and she said her skin is actually greener than her green dress. And Aisha, the mother of the faithful, Muhammad's wife, who got to see the impact because, I mean, she's born into a pagan environment, and she got to see Islam take over. She got to see the impact Islam had on women. And what did Aisha, the mother of the faithful, who learned Islam from her husband, Muhammad, what did she say about Islam's impact on women? She said, "I've not seen any woman suffering as much as the believing women." She's saying Muslim women had it worse than pagan women, because in Islam, Allah actually gives you everything you need to justify beating women into submission. So that's anyway, that's Sheikh Uthman, and that's why he can act like this and not be in any trouble whatsoever and can be the Dawah hero of the world. And he's bringing up one of the most common objections. You Christians, you believe that Jesus is God. You believe that Jesus died. Therefore, you believe that God died. But God isn't the sort of thing that can die. So your theology makes absolutely no sense. And so apparently this guy had said to Sheikh Uthman, Sheikh Uthman says, "Hey, God, can God die?" Guy says, "No." And then Sheikh Uthman, "Oh, but you're saying Jesus is God. You're saying Jesus, I've got you." And then he's saying, no, let me clarify. God cannot be destroyed. Because keep in mind, when you die, you're not destroyed. Not according to Islam, not according to Christianity. If you die, you continue to exist. Your physical body is killed, but you continue to exist. So the guy fixes what he said, but Uthman keeps rolling with that. Let's go ahead and back this up so we can see this whole thing, and then and then we'll see how
Both.
Michael responds.
Both.
We'll see how we respond, and we'll see whose response is better.
Yourself said God can't be killed, then you said Jesus was killed. Come on,
For
Jake.
the purpose. No, for the
Hey,
purpose.
listen.
For the purpose of dying for our sins, and I'm never. I'm
Look,
never. I'm,
did
I'm never
was
not
God
gonna,
killed?
I wouldn't say God. God can't. Hold on. Let me rephrase. God cannot be destroyed.
Was God killed?
God cannot be destroyed.
You're not answering the question.
God can't be destroyed. Who
Was
the
God
person?
killed?
God cannot be destroyed.
See, you won't answer.
I'm not gonna say it.
You're not going to say
God
it.
can't be destroyed.
Because earlier you said he couldn't.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
And earlier you said Jesus was-
but
was Jesus killed?
But if Jesus was resurrected,
Was he killed, though?
he died. Yes.
Was he killed?
He died.
So God can die.
Okay, so this is a really classic example of a distinction between Islam and Christianity. Did Christ die on the cross? The Muslims cannot accept it.
This is your post 9/11 racism talking.
You know, a lot of dogs just sit outside, tied to poles.
Historically, let's not forget, Islam is an outgrowth of an encounter between Muhammad, who went on a merchant trip with his uncle Abu Talib, I think it was, to Syria and met a monk who in the Islamic tradition is called Bahira and in the Western tradition is called Sergius.
Hey, this is he actually knows about Islam because supposedly he's just answering these off the cuff. His producer or whatever is playing clips, playing some TikTok videos for him, and he's just reacting. So maybe this guy's a little studied up on Islam. We'll see.
Who was a heretical Christian monk, probably a Nestorian monk. And there were all sorts of Christian heresies then, as there are today. Some denied important aspects of Christianity, like the divinity of Christ. And here we see a big stumbling block for the Muslims, which is the cross. So first of all, he says, can we as humans kill God? Well, this is actually addressed in the Gospels, which is, you know, at the Passion, Christ is on the cross. They say, well, he saved other people. Let's see him save himself. Our Lord tells his apostles, he says, don't you think that if I wanted to, I could call down legions and legions of angels to of course I can. I'm God. But it's not right for me to do that. Not my will, but the Father's will be done. That is an amazing mystery. And it's necessary that he die so that all of mankind can be saved. And this is foolishness and a stumbling block to the Jews and to the Greeks and to everybody. This is
thinking about this. There's he's given sort of the background. It is important to point out the theological significance of what's going on and that this was an issue even during the earliest preaching of the Christians. People are objecting to this, but this isn't really going to affect a Muslim. So basically, Michael Knowles here is talking to his Christian audience, saying, "Hey, we're familiar with this. This has been happening a long time. People just don't get this. It's a stumbling block to them. It's a mental stumbling block. But there is something you can actually say to help Muslims understand what's going on. So let's let him finish here and see what happens.
This is a big problem, and St. Paul explains this in the letter to the Philippians 3:18. He says, "There are many who are walking now, and I tell you this even weeping, who are enemies of the cross of Christ." So this is 600 years before the founding of Islam, where this guy is denying the cross of Christ, this stumbling block, this foolishness in the minds of so many mistaken people. St. Paul says there are many who are enemies not just of God, not just of Christ, who are enemies of the cross of Christ, because the cross is the axle on which the entire cosmos turns.
If you want to get married to a second wife,
That was, and this is the next clip.
Well, what he's saying there, obviously. So he's clearly saying there that that Christianity is older and Islam is newer. So why would you want to buy the old model when there is a new model?
You see. So everyone, so he gave sort of the Christian background and the idea that this has always been a stumbling block for people. Like, what in the world? What are you talking about? He died on the cross for sins and so on. The Muslim objection again, is they're saying your view is incoherent. It's incoherent. They usually think that like there's a contradiction involved. You look at the attributes of God. God is eternal. God doesn't change, and so on. And so, if you say that God died, well, then what? God died. God isn't the kind of thing that dies, right? Biological things like us can die, but God's not the sort of thing that can die. So God, by definition, is something that doesn't die. Yet you believe Jesus is God and Jesus died, and therefore you have an incoherent theology. What's up?
Can I say something before you go ahead and explain this? Now, here's the thing: when Michael Knowles, who seems kind of like informed about Islam, almost like a scholar, no less, he says his response that he gives is very much a response aimed at Christians more so than at Muslims. So Muslims will probably not do much with the response that he gave, which is understandable because his audience is a Christian audience or a Western audience that actually gets the point of Christianity much more easily than the Muslim audience. For the Muslim audience, I just want to say a very brief few things as somebody who knows the Muslim mindset from the inside. When Sheikh Uthman comes and talks about how can God die? How can God die? How can God be killed? When he talks about this kind of stuff, this might seem very powerful to you, Muslims. However, this is not an objection that is in any way powerful at all. On the contrary, from Christian, in Christian history, in Christianity, in Christology, and all that, this is very, very, very basic. Stuff like this was not even a big problem, not even controversial, but was in more advanced ways handled 2,000 years ago, or say 1,900 years ago, 1,800 years ago, where you had certain heresies come forth and certain doctrines established to explain aspects of Jesus's crucifixion and resurrection and so on. When Muslim scholars or Muslim debaters come and say, oh, how can God be killed? You believe God died? This is not at all a strong refutation or objection to Christianity. So you guys should really sit down and learn about this and think about this, because while to you guys to encourage each other, this might seem like a very strong point, to the Christians that you are challenging and that you are talking to, this is absolutely ridiculous and is no challenge at all. Not a single Christian stands there and thinks, whoa, how can God die? You're making a very good point. I never thought about this. I will have to change.
And if you do respond like that, you're probably gullible and dumb and have never studied
because
5
God
seconds of theology.
Die. God doesn't. It's not literally the eternal God that is permanently killed there at this point. It is not God that loses the ability to live. It has a very Christian understanding, which you from a Muslim perspective may not understand. But David, go ahead.
All right, a couple of things. So when we would say something like God cannot die, if you ask me, can God die? I would say, like, as God exists eternally and so on, no. But that would be along the same lines as, can God ride a bicycle? Can God ride a bicycle, everyone? Well, as God exists eternally and so on, I would say no. God is like omnipresent and so on. What do you mean? You'd have to be in a physical form to ride a bicycle. So on the one hand, like, as God exists eternally, no, that would not be the sort of being that rides a bicycle. Could God, if he wanted, ride a bicycle? Absolutely, because he could take on a form and ride a bicycle, just like he appears. He appears in the garden to Adam, just like he appears to Abraham. God can take on a form and appear to people. God can do that. Matter of fact, he could do that even according to the Quran. In the Quran, you have the story of the burning bush. The burning bush. This is for all the Muslims who say God can't enter into his creation. No, because that would mean he ceased to be God. What happened in the story of the burning bush in the Quran? You have it in Surah 27, 7 and 9, I think, and then in the following chapter. But Moses is walking, and then he sees the fire, and he goes to check it out, and the fire, voice comes out of the fire and says, "Blessed is he who is in the fire and those who are around the fire. Moses, I am Allah." So who's in the fire? Allah. And Allah says, "Blessed is he who is in the fire." So Allah is in a fire. Can Allah enter into his creation? Absolutely. He can enter into creation. He can enter into fire. Apparently, he can't enter into a physical form, not a physical, the form of a physical human being, but he can enter fire for some reason. But anyway, so then they'll modify. And then, of course, you have the hadith where Allah has to descend from the highest heaven to the lowest heaven to hear people's prayers. So Allah's got he's hard of hearing. He can't hear from where he is. So he has to descend. And so they'll modify their explanation when they say Allah, he can't enter into his creation because he will cease to be God. You say, okay, well, here he is multiple times in your sources entering into creation. Oh yeah, but it befits his majesty. So he enters creation in a way that befits his majesty. And so they contradict themselves. Yeah. So what actually happens is you ask a Christian, can God die? What are you talking about? God isn't the kind of thing that dies. And they say, but you believe Jesus? Yeah, okay. Well, you can't leave out the entire incarnation there, namely that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, took on a body. And here your Muslim friend will have all sorts of problems with this. No, something that is eternal can't take on a physical nature and so on. And then they've already given you everything you need to completely destroy their objection. Because check this out. This is a Quran. This is a Quran, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the speech of Allah. The Quran is supposedly the speech of Allah. It's Allah's eternal speech. And Muslims will tell you that Allah's speech is one of his attributes. His speech is one of his divine attributes. Did he suddenly get that attribute one day? No. That's why they say that the Quran is eternal. It's one of Allah's attributes. It's also eternal. So the Quran is co-eternal with Allah. So that's interesting. The Quran is uncreated. It's uncreated. It's always been there. It's uncreated. It's eternal. Can't be corrupted. Can't be destroyed. So that's a definition of Allah's eternal speech. Eternal, has no beginning, has no end, cannot be changed, uncreated, cannot be destroyed. That's their definition. Now, here's a Quran. Oxford University Press. I open it up. I open up the Quran here, and what is this? What is this? It's by, we got the translator here, Oxford World Classics. All sorts of stuff here. We're looking for the eternal part.
Wait, so that means
published 2004. What? Huh?
So that means Allah is Oxford is the father of Allah.
Yeah, because Oxford put this out, but it says published in 2004. Isn't that weird? It's almost
Allah is a child.
They're almost making it sound. They're almost making it sound like the Quran was made in 2004. Now, how's that possible? Because the Quran is eternal. Everyone see how their theology is completely incoherent? The Quran is supposedly Allah's eternal speech. I open up the Quran, it says 2004. Published 2004. What's going on here? I thought the Quran is eternal and has no beginning. Here I open it up and it says it has a beginning.
Powerful.
So does the Quran have a beginning or not? AP, has anyone ever destroyed a Quran?
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait a minute, AP. The Quran is Allah's eternal speech. It's one of Allah's attributes. One of Allah's attributes can't be destroyed. How's it possible for one of Allah's attributes to be destroyed? Wait, how's that possible? Did Allah's eternal speech just get ripped in half? How's this even possible? I'm so confused now. Islamic theology is so confusing. Let me get this straight. Allah's speech is eternal, it's uncreated, it can't be destroyed, it's incorruptible, and AP just ripped it right in half like it's easy. And I look at the Quran and it's published in 2004. 2004. I have a kid who's older than that. I have a kid who's older than this Quran. How is this possible? I don't get it. Guys, do you know what the solution is? Do you know what the solution to that is? Because what did we do? We just applied the exact same objection. Is the Quran something which is supposedly something that's eternal, incorruptible, uncreated, cannot be destroyed? Is that the sort of thing that could be ripped? Is that the sort of thing that has a beginning? Is that the sort of thing that can be destroyed? No. So is Islamic theology completely incoherent? Because the Quran is sort of foundational to their theology. That's the speech of Allah. What's the solution to this mystery of how Islamic theology would not be completely contradictory and incoherent here? Well, here's how it goes. The Islamic view is that Allah's speech, his speech, is uncreated, it's eternal, can't be corrupted, can't be destroyed. But if that speech enters our physical world, it takes on a physical form. If you want to write it down and put it into a book form in our world, our physical world, then the Quran gets put into a form of a book made of paper and glue and ink. Paper and glue and ink. Are paper and glue and ink things that can be destroyed? Yes, what happened? Something that is eternal and uncreated and incorruptible was put into a form that is created and can be destroyed and will eventually fall apart. It's made of paper and glue and ink. So let me get this straight, Muslims. When I question your theology, I say, hey, how can you believe that the Quran is eternal when the Quran was made in 2004? How can you believe that the Quran is incorruptible when AP literally just ripped it up right in front of your faces? How's this possible? Your theology is so stupid. Oh my goodness, look at how dumb this is. We could be like the Dawah guys. Look at this. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Islam is just so dumb. Let's not try and actually think how you can believe both of these things, namely that the Quran is eternal and that it's a physical book. Let's not try and figure that out. But here's how you would figure it out if you actually took a few seconds. And none of the Dawah guys will do this. They'll just go from person to person, raising the same objection, never actually trying to deal with it for themselves because they have something very, very similar. But if they were to try and fix it, what they would understand is that according to Islamic theology, the Quran has two natures. Its eternal nature is the speech of Allah, which has no beginning, can't be destroyed, is incorruptible. Its physical nature in our world is created, can fall apart, can be corrupted, can be destroyed. And so what you would say if we said, hey, is it possible to destroy the eternal speech of Allah? You'd have to say, what do you mean? If you mean Allah's speech as it exists from all eternity, no, you can't destroy that. If you mean once it has entered into creation and then has a dual nature as the speech of Allah, but in a physical form, in a physical book, then yes, this can be destroyed. So can you destroy the speech of Allah? In one sense, in its eternal sense, no, you're not destroying it. In a different sense, yes, absolutely you can if it's taken on a physical form. So Muslims who are complaining, Muslims who are cheering at what Sheikh Uthman just said, yay, squirt more fake blood on yourself, go beat another wife and go bang another guy's wife as well. Those of you who are cheering for Sheikh Uthman, you just cheered for the complete annihilation of your own theology. Because according to you, the Quran has two natures. When a Christian says that Jesus has two natures, that he is the eternal word, that he's the eternal divine son, and so on, that he enters creation, that the word becomes flesh and dwells among us, and therefore, since he has taken on a human nature, he can die, but you wouldn't say that his eternal nature has somehow ceased to exist or be destroyed. You laugh at that and mock that and insult Christians. And yet we can say the exact same thing about your own theology, and you never, ever, ever, ever care, even slightly, that your objections, if you took them seriously, would force you to leave your own religion. And you don't care. Why is that? What is this about your religion? Anyway, what do you guys think about that?
Pretty good.
Understand, guys? So I gave that response. I've had videos on that and so on, but you got to learn that. Why? If people like Sheikh, if Muslim da'is keep going around using the exact same arguments, And Christians don't just flip this right back on them and say, oh, wait, you just said what? Oh, you have a problem with something eternal taking on a physical form that can be killed or something? Oh, well, great. Now you've just, congratulations, you're an apostate now, my ex-Muslim friend. Go join the Apostate Prophet because he's your king.
Powerful.
Everyone get that? What is there that I just said that any random Christian could not say if he thought through this and knew a little bit about Islam? Anyone could do this. Anyone could do what I just did. So the point is, learn the responses, because if Christians don't, you just give these guys the ability to keep using the same objections over and over and over again. All right, let's take a couple super chats, and then we'll go on to the next clip, which is Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim, that awesome pillar of morality and goodness with his perfectly functioning moral compass.
You know what's funny?
What?
I was just checking my my Twitter account, and it seems that I am no longer monetized.
I think there was some sort of automatic thing because I was monetized on. You didn't get much for Twitter. Get like.
No, I just lost my my verification badge. Apparently, I don't know why.
You lost your verification badge?
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Nothing at all. Just the regular stuff.
Maybe we're all losing it.
Maybe we're all losing it, man.
This is the Apostate Prophet. You did lose it. Woo! Not a good way to go, Elon.
I really wonder if they actually took my verification away, or what the heck this is about, because that's very, very weird.
Yeah, so they've been doing it a lot to a lot of the accounts, like the Suleiman Ahmed and all those type guys, and those types of accounts. Those people have been screaming, but those are all people like Death to Israel types. If now it's just hey, no, Israel should live types.
Yeah,
It's gonna be weird. Interesting. What'd you tweet, man? What'd you tweet that ticked everyone off? I suppose we.
Oh, never mind. It's because I had an expired card on my account. That's why.
Here we were ready to go to war. We were ready to go to war, AP, and it's all your fault.
Funny. All right. False alarm.
We were ready to dial it up. Momo wasn't gay. He just had a gay boyfriend, Diha. Yeah. And it's not gay if he's really handsome guy.
Yes.
Something like that. They always come up with some justification for why they're not gay. He agrees with Pete Hegseth on no woman on the front lines. Oh, Michael Knowles. I was like, he who? Okay, but it makes sense. We're talking about Michael Knowles. He agrees with Pete Hegseth on no woman on the front lines. A decaying society puts our women on the front lines to catch bullets from jihadis. Based. Yeah.
I don't know.
What I wouldn't have an objection to women in some roles, but I get the response as far as like, hey, sometimes buddy, someone gets shot and another soldier needs to carry that person 5 miles through mud, and maybe Kim Kardashian ain't the person to be doing that.
I think Kim Kardashian should go first.
Yeah, she should go. She will distract everyone with her beauty.
Phew.
That's the other thing. If soldiers get captured, it's kind of different for a woman getting captured by a jihadi. Hi, David and AP. Is Deuteronomy 13 about Mo? Well, not specifically, but yeah, that's Deuteronomy 13 is about false prophets and spotting false prophets and so on. So yeah, and that's a passage where Muhammad would have been executed, according to Moses. Muhammad would have been executed. And it's weird because Muslims claim to respect Moses, and yet Moses would have ordered people to execute Muhammad. You guys should stream this early forever. I've suggested it. We can never kind of get on board. We should pick one day a week on like a Saturday or a Sunday where we go live at like 4 or something like that for Europeans. As much as we dislike Europeans,
don't they just suck, man?
with your soccer. Anyway, speaking of Dawah, I'm going to be debating atheist Dawah on Modern Day Debate. Wait, what? January 25th, Christianity versus atheism. Which has the evidence? Bless you both. There's someone called Atheist Dawah. That's kind of a funny name. That's pretty funny. All right, so guys, check this out. Apollos Christian Apologetics is going to be debating Atheist Dawah on Modern Day Debate, January 25th. We hope you don't get completely humiliated. Christianity versus atheism. Which has the evidence? Well, we already know the answer to that one. Giant Meteor says, a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. Jesus is God, but God is not Jesus. Jesus died. God did not die. Well, again, in a sense, God died, but you wouldn't say, yeah, you need clarifications like this to.
Yeah, there's also one thing, which is that I don't know who the person was who was giving the answer to Sheikh Uthman asking the question. He didn't give the best response, but it just happens, you know.
Yeah, that's what happens when people are walking through a park and you start challenging them and stuff. People haven't. By the way, the exact same thing would happen if I picked a random Muslim and started asking him questions. In fact, matter of fact, your average Muslim would do significantly worse than this guy. This guy kind of caught it, and he said, "Look, God can't be destroyed." So if you're talking about death in the sense of like destruction of something or ceasing to exist, then no. Whereas your average Muslim is walking by, and if he asked me that question and I pointed this out and say, okay, so is the Quran eternal or what? And yes, the Quran is eternal. It says eternal speech. Really? And then I just open up a Quran. Why does it say 2004 here? And they'd run into the same issues. Did y'all see Douglas Murray episode on PBD? He basically calls PBD a gullible idiot to his face, but in classy English. We might need to watch that, AP. Were you familiar with this?
No.
I would love, because that's what I feel like when I'm watching. PBD is obviously smart in certain ways, kind of a dope in other ways. And that, keep in mind, it's not an insult. That's kind of true of it. It's kind of true of everyone. Everyone is maybe smart in certain areas and dopey in other areas.
It's funny because I made a post yesterday saying PBD is so bizarre because during the conversation with Wes Huff, he just randomly brings up Andrew Tate, and then
some people complain about that.
Does it, and I saw in my comment section many people saying, "I noticed that too. PBD is so weird." Such a I don't know, weird conversation that has no depth and all that. So people don't seem to really like PBD's approach.
Well, speaking of Andrew Tate, have you heard of this Andrew Tate guy? I hear he's a real great man. Everyone's flocking to him because he's got something that that men need. Men need to be told that they need to bang as many babes as possible and.
Or the rapist,
go around in Daisy Dukes and get into a bunch of sex trafficking and make the girls work for you while you type messages to guys. See, this is what true masculinity is missing, everyone. Exactly. True masculinity is missing the Andrew Tate approach, where he would have his cam girls on camera pretending to type, but he's actually behind there typing messages to the guys, texting the guys, and so on. Oh, you're so hot and manly. Ooh, I just want your balls all over me and stuff like this. That's Andrew Tate typing that, and that's what we're all supposed to imitate as true masculinity.
And of course, he's also somebody who says, if you have a girlfriend and this girlfriend will not work for you and will not go online and show her boobs online to people to make money for you, then you should dump her and find a new one.
Yes, find another one. Find another one who will show her boobies while you text fantasy sex messages to the guys who are looking at her. Oh boy! By the way. Let's see. Mosh Cohen says, by the way, the comments on the original video are awesome. We should check those out. In fact, I didn't put the link to the original video. I'll do that. I'll remember to do that right after right after we wrap up. Put a link to the original video of Michael Knowles. We have gaming. Oh, super chat. No comment. Thank you. You may want to check out Michael Knowles' reaction to Ghost Mary on a Cross song. Priceless face blue smiling. Ghost Mary on a Cross. I have no idea what that is. Check that out. Hey, look, it's Muhammad Hijab. Michael Knowles, fight me in a cage match, you weakling. It is the Muhammad Hijab with his double Zabiba. When you get double Zabibas, it starts looking like Zabubas. Like having two Zabibas, because then my forehead looks like Zabubas. And I can look at myself in the mirror and go, ooh, look at those hot Zabubas. Oh, wait, that's my own forehead. My own forehead is like cleavage. Love the show. You should have a look at Julia Brewer and Najmi. Unlike Pierce, she brings in ex-Muslims and is not afraid of being called Islamophobic. Hey, that's someone for you.
Who? Julia Brewer.
And Najmi. Might want to check that out.
We'll check it out.
If they're better than the little weakling Pierce. Quran is like their wives, young. Well, I have to say though, this Quran 2004, that's over 20 years old. So that's 21 years old. That's 21 years old. That's like a great grandma in Islam.
Yeah.
If they're thinking you get them pregnant at 4 and 5, as Daniel Hakikachu thinks, then Muslims say Christ is not good, but still use AD. You see, this is the proof. That's good. Favorite movie is E.T. Looks like me. Allah is alien. E.T. looks like Allah. It'd be funny if Allah looks like that. No.
He does.
You'd have to take E.T. and like put both arms on one side so his hands are on one side and then have just like one leg but 2 feet sticking off the leg. Anyway, so you'd have to do some modifications. Good day from Vancouver. Just wanted to say that this is unfair to neglect Hindus' role in grape and hooliganism. Here in Canada, there's a huge problem with South Asian crime, including Sikhs and Hindus.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I think you're making that up. But if it's true, then expose them. What's the point? I mean, what's the point in not doing that? What are you objecting to? We are all in favor of exposing people who are taking advantage of girls. The issue in the UK, see, keep in mind, you have people all over the world who will take advantage of girls. The reason for the spotlight on the grooming gangs in the UK is that it's a unique situation where you have the police actually helping them do it, arresting the parents for objecting and so on. The government refusing to do anything about this. It's a different kind of situation. Like here in the US, do you have girls being taken advantage of? Yes, by all people, all kinds of people from all races and so on. If police find out about it, they're usually going to step in and do something and stop it. And if they don't, they're somehow corrupt. Imagine it just became a thing where in towns across the U.S., police actually started helping and protecting and shielding the abusers and so on. Well, that would be a time to dial things up, which is what's going on with the UK.
That's what happens.
Totally bonkers. It is not totally bonkers. It is totally based. The living word, Jesus Christ, the perfect expression of all who the Father is. By him the Father created. By him the Father interacts with creation. That's true. Why talk grooming gangs when Chewbacca, a Wookiee, lives on Endor with Ewoks? It doesn't make sense. Focus on that, Pierce Morgan. That was the famous Chewbacca defense. Muhammad people. Haha, you Christians think words are God. How foolish. Can God be silenced then? You see? Yep, that is powerful refutation. Totally based. Great apologetics, D. Wood. No comment from Rogaz, but thank you. And 2 more here. If in Islam you are no moral agent, thus no sanctifying suffering or improvement, how do they answer problem of evil with my sealed heart and veiled eyes? What is this? If in Islam you are no moral agent, thus no sanctifying suffering or improvement, how do they answer the problem of evil with my sealed heart and veiled eyes? Not sure what this would mean. Who's not a moral agent? Yeah.
Well, in Islam, you are that. It is just that everything is pretty much predetermined. Everything that you do and do not do is predetermined. Everything has been written down before Allah created you. He already wrote everything down that you will do with his pen, with his big, huge pen. He wrote everything down.
He's the best of pens.
And everything will happen exactly as he wrote it down. And of course, there are certain aspects in Muslim theology and Islamic theology that aimed to somehow make sense of that. And one of those explanations that they came up with was that, yes, Allah did write everything down. Allah did predetermine everything. And yes, Allah did also give you free will. However, What Allah did is that He wrote down for you two paths or choices, for example, and you are always faced with picking one or the other, and it is up to you which one you will pick. So you still have ultimate free will there. You will pick one of those choices that Allah laid in front of you. The problem with this is that ultimately, if you ask the follow-up questions to this, you end up once again with a dilemma, because if you ask, okay, but if I have two choices that Allah laid before me and I choose this one or that one,
The cow.
does Allah know? Did Allah predetermine and write down from the beginning which of those two I will choose? The answer will be yes. If you answer no, then this will be in contradiction to the Quran's statements that Allah chose or wrote down everything that you will do. So whatever you do in the end, Allah already determined everything. So it does end in a paradox. I did make I made videos about this. I even had a long conversation with Mohammed Hijab about this, by the way, privately, which I one day maybe I should just go into and
quit sharing private messages with everyone, man. You're gonna walk in, you're gonna get locked up one day and go to prison. People are gonna be like, "Hey, you got snitches on what everyone says behind the scenes."
It's not snitching; it's a theological conversation. So
that's the worst snitching right there. Now you're snitching about theology. What?
There is really no way around this. They make it look like it is all up to the human to decide what he eventually does. However, according to the Quran, it is not your choice. Allah decides whether you want to do something good or not, whether you have the will to believe or not. Allah decides whether you ultimately believe or not. Everything is in the hands of Allah, and He also seals your heart and puts a veil on your eyes if He wants to. However, you are still somehow responsible. You are actually not. It is a stupid, messed up, nonsensical theological system that doesn't have a solution.
I'm looking at all these snitching comments.
Powerful.
Hang on. Let's see. Where the now you snitching on Allah.
You see?
Because David Woods is stuck in prison mentality. It's true. I think in terms of this, I had this problem when raising kids, right? Because we had two boys. First, we had two boys, and they were young. But one would tell on the other, "Guess what he did? Guess what he did?" And I was like, "What? Did you do that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Oh, right. Here's your punishment. Now here's your punishment for snitching on your brother." And so it was always these double punishments and stuff. But yeah, it was as much as I want to know if you're doing something wrong and you need to be corrected, I also want brothers to understand, don't be snitching on each other.
Brother. That's true.
No, I had something. Let's see. I'm going back, seeing if we want to say anything else about that. My sealed heart, Allah. Oh, yeah. I remember what I wanted to say. I wanted to get Mary Harp on one day with us because she actually said, you know how you got these passages in the Quran which make it sound like you have free will and you're morally responsible and so on, and you have all these other passages where it's Allah who decides everything ahead of time and you're like a puppet in His hands. You have both of those. She says you can actually line up all these different passages according to when they're revealed. And the dividing point was when Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib died. And before that, the revelations are all, people decide, it's up to them and so on. People have free will, and so Muhammad's all broken up. Why didn't I do more to save my uncle? Why didn't I do more? And then after he dies, Muhammad's all bent out of shape. Oh, why didn't I convince him? Why didn't I convince him? I should have tried harder. Then it becomes, nope, Allah already decides all these things ahead of time. You play no role.
That's a good solution.
So if that's true, that is very interesting. So it's like the theology that Allah is revealing changes based on whether it's going to hurt Muhammad's feelings. Guys, does everyone see that? If it's free will, then Abu Talib, he gets to decide whether to believe in Islam or not. And if his nephew is the Prophet of Islam should be doing a bang-up job of convincing him and showing his uncle, whom he loves dearly, that Islam is the truth. But he dies as a pagan. And so Muhammad's all broken up. Why didn't I do more? And then from then on, the revelations are, don't worry, it's not you who decides who believes and does it. It's Allah. So you have no responsibility in any of this, Muhammad.
Yeah, it also explains at some point when people start rejecting his religion or his preachings. It says, and for those who do not believe, there is nothing you can do, whether you want it or not. They will not believe. In fact, it is not for anyone to believe unless Allah wants them to believe. So not even the person themselves is really in charge. It is Allah Himself who decides whether He believes or not. So if you don't believe, it's Allah's fault.
Yeah. And in which case, you always have to wonder, why are these Dawah guys mad at us?
Yeah.
Are you mad at Allah?
Yeah.
How can you be so stubborn? According to the Quran, Allah made me this way.
See.
Did you guys review the Muhammad Hijab MMA fight? I mean, we mentioned it, not something. I watched. I saw like a 10-second clip of him kicking a guy in the stomach, and the guy goes down or something like that. Looked like barely a tap. So, as far as MMA fights go, pretty freaking lame. So I'm just rather watch a fight that I'm interested in. That's what I meant. Allah.
I saw his celebration afterwards, which was like he won the world championship or something. After the guy went down.
And now, yes, and you saw the Muslim. Oh, he's the greatest fighter who's ever lived. This is a guy who had to back down from. What was that? That guy's like 58 years old or something like this. That IDF guy who agreed to fight him, and then Hijab. Okay, but you can't use your moves. You can't move your ankle locks and stuff that you always use. Oh, what a crybaby. Shout out to Fisherman's Corner for gifting 20 Apologetics Roadshow memberships. Cool stuff. Sarah says, that's what I meant. Allah actively chose suffering. And here, Israel really just wasted all that effort for a ceasefire that keeps Hamas in place. Israel's actually pathetic for that 40 terrorists for one guy. Again, Israel's always been willing to exchange massive numbers of jihadis for getting their own people back. I understand they'll get these terrorists. They'll get the terrorists later and so on. But yeah, as I pointed out, if this is all the deal is, this is a pretty crap deal. That's why I said Netanyahu is not this dumb. There's a deal behind the deal. He has been resolute. I am not backing down until Hamas is destroyed. All of a sudden, okay, we're going to let Hamas slide right when Trump is coming to office. And Trump wants people to put down their weapons. He wants to have, Abraham Accords 2.0 and so on. He wants there to be peace in the Middle East so he can look and say, guys, look what happens. Look what happens when I'm in power. He wants that to happen. And I can guarantee you it wasn't just do this because I'm saying it. It was, look, I really, really want this to happen. I really, really want to come into office and have the ball rolling towards peace instantly. Here's what I will do in exchange for that. Do this thing for me. Here's what I will do for you next year or sometime after, something like that. And so I guarantee there is a better deal behind the scenes. I can guarantee you that. And you'll be seeing it. You'll be seeing it. Mark my words. With that said, again, I look at this and I say, yes, it is really, really messed up to let Hamas continue to exist after all of this. Because you could have, if you were gonna let them continue to exist, you could have done this 6 months ago. If you could have done a deal like this 6 months ago, and they would have agreed to some version of it. So why all this additional effort and so on? But again, there is another deal behind the scenes.
There is an aspect of when nations fight insurgents or guerrilla forces, or just outright terrorist forces that hide in certain places. There is a thing called, I think it's like insurgent calculations or insurgent matter or insurgent possibilities, something like that, which is that if one nation is fighting insurgent forces in a country or in a certain region, it is extremely and immensely difficult for this stronger established nation to actually take out insurgent forces without risking severe destructions and severe losses of their own forces and the civilian population. So, which is why, for example, with the United States in Afghanistan, it was impossible to eradicate the Taliban. With other countries fighting against insurgent forces, against guerrilla forces, it is always almost impossible to eradicate them. They usually get caught in decades of fighting. With Israel, you have they are facing an enemy that has created a whole underground country under the Gaza Strip. They created a huge network of tunnels, which they built with.
It's like that Jordan Peele
funds.
movie. You see that Jordan Peele movie where there's all these tunnels underground?
No, but they took like humanitarian aid and fundings, which they all put into creating a huge, vast tunnel network underground under the civilian population. Israel could have gone in and could have annihilated these guys almost, or destroyed them to a much larger extent, but it would have significantly increased the number of deaths among Israeli soldiers and significantly increased civilian casualties, which is something Israel can't gamble with right now. So they took out apparently over half of the Hamas fighters. Hamas is crippled right now, but they still have strategic regions in their hands. It's not ideal, but what are you going to do?
No, not ideal. But what everyone should be happy about is that getting the hostages back. So as far as other things, yes, there are other things, and yes, you will still have to deal with Hamas, and there are other things there are other aspects of the deal that suck. It is good for people who've been held for over 15 months now that they'll be coming home. So that is very good.
That's what they do.
And we'll be very happy for those people. Fisherman's Corner, who gave the membership, says, "My pleasure. You all are awesome. Love you all." Thank you. I skipped my cheese pizza so you could have this. You guys are destroying the demons. Much love. Yeah, this is an awesome start to a year. Awesome start to a year, everyone. AP, totally based explanation. Great work.
Thank you.
He's always based. He wants to have a Ronald Reagan moment. Absolutely. This is before you were born, AP, but you had Jimmy Carter. Super nice guy. Super nice peanut farmer. And terrorists knew it. Super nice guy. Gonna be super gentle. Wants everyone to live in harmony. So, hey, let's just take a bunch of terrorists. Anyway, then they find out Reagan, whom everyone knew at that point as a cowboy from cowboy movies and stuff. And Reagan's about to take over. All right, release the hostages. Release the hostages. Everyone release the hostages. They did not want to mess with this guy. So, yeah, I think that is actually in Donald Trump's head. He wants it to be known. Right when he's taking power, right when I'm walking, people are so worried about a strong leader that they'll drop their weapons. That's the impression he wants to make when he's walking into the White House. But it kind of sucks that some people have to go along. Some people have to go along with this. But again, one more time. I guarantee you, and you will see in the future, you will see that there was indeed a better deal behind the scenes. What was David before King? Slinger songwriter. We're back to the awful dad jokes. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out Michael Knowles' second response, which is to our buddy Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. Hey, P, what do you know about Sheikh Asim al-Hakim? He's obviously opposed to my famous three jihads, three different types of jihad, three stages of jihad concept that we all share. According to which the kind of jihad you're waging differs depending on the strength of the Muslim community. What would Sheikh Asim al-Hakim's response be to something like that?
That's a good question. I didn't listen to what you just said.
Okay, let me repeat myself. I've been saying for years that jihad proceeds in stages. When Muslims are weak and can't hope to win a physical confrontation, they are taught to promote peace. Peace. It's all peace. Let's just be at peace. Then later, when they can fight defensively, they're strong enough to fight defensively, then they tell people to react with violence. And later on, when they're a powerful enough force, then they wage offensive jihad and seek to subjugate the unbelievers. If Sheikh Asim al-Hakim were to see that, how would he brutally insult me to tell me I'm completely wrong about Islam?
He would say, Alhamdulillah, you're completely correct. This is exactly what we have been saying. Alhamdulillah. And this is what I have been saying. In fact, I have been saying, I am a little bit surprised because I have been saying that it will probably take 50 years or so to get to that place when we can finally fight the disbelievers and take their wives as slaves again. But maybe with people like you acknowledging this, it will be faster.
Yeah, so guys, Sheikh Asim al-Hakim says exactly what I've been saying for years. Says exactly what other people have been saying for years. He tells his followers, we are not strong enough to conquer these guys right now. So focus on strengthening the community, building up our numbers, building up our wealth. And then a few decades down the road, then we'll subjugate them. And then he said, and we're going to go door to door knocking. Hey, convert to Islam, convert to Islam or pay us. And he goes, and if you don't, remember that? He goes, and if you don't, what do you expect us to do? I gave you two good options. That's what he says. Convert or pay us money. Those are the two good options. And if you say no, then you just, you have to go. So that's Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. And Michael Knowles is going to check out one of his TikToks.
If you want to get married to a second wife, don't give her heads up for the next 10 years, torturing her every day. Listen, she's going to be...
Why do they make the so loud? Trying to pay attention to what the guy's saying. My goodness. To whoever's editing the Muslim videos and cranking up this music, if you want background music, the main criterion is not being a distraction. You make it a freaking distraction. Quit doing it.
Torturing her every day. Listen, she's going to be blonde. She's going to be blue-eyed. She's going to be this and that. She's going to be a good cook.
That's funny. I didn't know what he said until I'm just checking it out. My second wife's going to be blonde and blue eyes and a good cook, unlike you.
And everything that your wife doesn't have, you're going to tell her, my second wife is going to have this. This is killing her softly. No, what you should do is...
Killing her softly with your words. My next wife's gonna have blue eyes and blonde hair, unlike your black hair and brown eyes. Your hair is black like a blackbird, and your eyes are brown as big brown shoes. They're brown like tree bark, but my new wife, she's gonna have the prettiest blue eyes.
He
says, this is killing her softly by telling her all these things that you are looking for in a wife, but that she is not.
Hey, David, keep talking, say something.
Okay. So some of you will be using as an insult to your current wife and saying, you're not a good cook, but my second wife, she is going to be a very good cook. She will make the best falafel. She will make the best shawarma. She will make the best kebabs.
So ridiculous.
This is killing her softly, killing her softly. It's funny. He's actually like trying to give them advice on how to be nice to your wives. Quit throwing the second wife in your wife's face. It's messed up.
You got to tell her, my second wife is going to have this. This is killing her softly. No, what you should do is keep a lid on it. You're my girl. You're the one and the only one. And once you want to go for it, a day or two after everything is finalized, say, listen, hon, I love you, but it has to be.
Did you catch that, AP? He said, okay, so you're a guy, you've got your wife. At some point in the future, you're going to get a second wife. You're going to get a second wife. He says, what you don't want to do is constantly throw this in your first wife's face. You don't want to throw this in your first wife's face and always be saying, oh, you got black hair, but my second wife, she's going to have pretty blonde hair. Oh, you get boring brown eyes. It looks like mud. My second wife is going to have eyes as blue as the twilight. You don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that. He just said, I don't know if you catch it, if you caught it. He says, no. Just wait. And then when you get your second wife, wait a day or two after everything's finalized and then say, hey, babe, you're my girl. I love you, but I had to do this. And so don't torture her don't torture her as you go along. Just eventually get your wife and then get your second wife and then you've got everything. But you don't need to be throwing this in your first wife's face along the way. So there you go.
Baby, I love you, but there is another one that I also want to love.
Yeah. But honey, I love you, but you're kind of not enough for me. You're not enough. I need to upgrade.
I love you, but I need more love.
I wonder if this is how the Italians, like a century ago, would handle their gumars.
I mean, it's not like in the old days when a man had a wife and then sort of a second wife.
The idea was the gumar is kind of the side girlfriend. Not you. I don't think so. And sometimes with that, maybe then the wife would like shoot you or something, like in one of those gangster movies.
Wake up, Henry.
Yeah, this doesn't seem. I mean, I guess in a way he's being compassionate to his wife.
That's what's funny.
Right? He said, "Don't torture her for 10 years. Just when you do see the hot chick, just kind of finalize everything and just tell her like rip it off like a Band-Aid."
When you do see the hot chick, just do it quickly, rip it off like a Band-Aid. Oh man, hang on.
Finalize everything and just tell her like rip it off like a Band-Aid. But he's also acknowledging this will hurt his wife. And so if you view a woman just as property, then I guess it's fine.
Did you catch that? He's catching on. If you view a woman as just property, this is fine. That's right. That's exactly what Islam views women as.
If you view a woman just as property, then I guess it's fine. No big deal. But if you view marriage as Christ describes marriage, two people become one flesh, and what God has joined, let no man separate. A man and a woman, not a man and 5 women, definitely not a woman and 5 men, just a man and a woman come together as one flesh, as a symbol of Christ's love for his church. One God, one church, not multiple, it's not polygamy. If you view it that way, then the Muslim desert way of doing things is probably not the most conducive to virtue or your own.
He is funny, man. He said the Muslim desert way. He said the Muslim desert way. He's actually funny. That's funny. I just thought he was funny when he's talking about soccer.
Then the Muslim desert way of doing things is probably not the most conducive to virtue or your own happiness.
I will show you the ways of the desert.
I don't know. It's sort of like mo money, mo problems. Do you really... one man and one wife can live together very, very happily. I don't know. You start introducing all these wives who kind of they get a little catty with each other, and they're all kind of nagging you. And I don't know. It doesn't seem ideal. This is not a good argument to convert to Islam, I think. Okay, that's the show. I'm Michael Knowles. This is the Michael Knowles Show. See you tomorrow.
Tell my Lord Salahuddin, Jerusalem has come.
Oh boy! So there we got some sound good advice.
It's funny that he actually used the term the Muslim desert way. So
that is funny.
It's pretty racist.
That's extremely racist.
It's the most Islamophobic and racist thing I've heard in my entire life.
It's pretty bad. So there and by the way, Inspiring Philosophy has a ton of stuff on. There are all sorts of studies on how harmful polygamy is to a society. When the men who are wealthy enough will take multiple wives. Keep in mind, people, the number of men and women who are born is roughly the same. It's always very close. So if you have wealthy guys taking up 4 wives each, that's leaving fewer wives for regular people, and it turns out to increase aggression in society and so on. It makes you a more violent, aggressive culture. Look at the Muslim world. Shocker. Am I right?
Ain't that right?
So I do think that when you're responding to an objection about how God can die, it does help to be able to point out the parallel with the Quran so that a Muslim understands that if he objects to the incarnation of Jesus, that he also has to reject Islam's own theology of the Quran. I think that helps. With that said, I think Michael gave some good responses there. I'd like to see more of that. And guys, keep it. I don't normally follow Michael Knowles, but if you see more of him responding to Tik-Tok Dawah videos, be interested in watching those, because the more people responding, the better. What are you laughing at? You laughing at? I thought we had good teamwork there, man. We had good teamwork for some, especially for Muslims watching, right? If Muslims are watching, they wouldn't be able to pay attention if I'm just speaking. They need to hear the
Somebody dying on the side while you're talking.
You got to have it. You got to have it, man. Got to have it. Yeah. D. Wood's kids tell their truth and then read Edgar Allan Poe. You said I thought it was A.I. Poe. That didn't make any sense. And then read Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart and bet with your wife on how long it's going to take for one to break. Confessions best. Telltale Heart, is that the one where there's like a heart under the floorboard and it's like it's still beating and it's driving him crazy and stuff, but he's actually just crazy? I remember reading it in high school, but that was a long time ago. You're talking like early 90s. I think that's what that one's about. I remember The Raven really well. I think Telltale Heart was something's under the floorboards and something with a heart and it just kept beating. 2025 is the official death of Dawah, mark my word. It's going to be a bad year for Dawah. And AP, you know what? Here, this is kind of messed up. But when I'm looking at this somewhat messed up deal, again, we don't know what the deal behind the deal is. Time will tell that. You will see in the near future what happens in the Middle East that is actually part of this deal that we don't know about, and was the incentive for Israel to agree. But right now at this moment, when people are screaming, you see, we're very strong. 60% of our buildings have been destroyed, but we proclaim victory. You see, we've defeated them. There's a part of me that likes that they're screaming and cheering right now, just because I know what a devastating year this is going to be. It reminds me of last year when they had nothing but losses forever, and then they took out the entire Hezbollah leadership and blew off the testicles of thousands of jihadis, and then they're begging for a ceasefire, and Israel grants them a ceasefire, and then they go, you see, we won, we're very strong. It's getting pathetic, but it's kind of funny that you can have like 50 losses and then something that's not even a win, but you'll call it a win just to feel good. I don't know. I kind of like that. I kind of think it's funny. And I think it's kind of good that here in January, they got something they're going to cheer for, because we know what the rest of the year is going to be like. Not going to be pretty.
It's going to be a big L, I think.
Yep. You have a very wise advice. Wait a minute. If Allah's speech is unchanging and Allah's speech is in the shape of an L, then Allah has been taking an L for all eternity.
This is the uncreated L of Allah.
Wait, but there's two L's in Allah.
This is the uncreated L, you see.
Notice there's two L's in Allah, but no win. This is the proof.
You see?
We have some advice from Sheikh Asim al-Hakim. Don't kill her softly. Kill her quickly. This is called killing her softly. Do not kill her softly. Kill her quickly. When you get new pretty wife. Do Muslims claim to be part of the Abraham covenant? Yes, they say that it's through Ishmael. My second wife isn't listening to me. I'm going to fight her in MMA, but she is afraid. that's how things probably go with these guys. Honey, I don't want to do that. Shut up. Why don't you face me in the octagon? Oh, you know you will be humiliated. Yeah, let's see you, you little weakling. You little weakling.
Powerful.
Daily Wire. Don't give a damn anymore. I love it. Yeah. I know. It is pretty funny. I do like that kind of response. That's sort of this desert approach. And remember, he gave comments on grooming gangs. Oh, yeah. We still haven't checked that. I should have brought that in there and checked out what he had to say about the grooming gangs. Because, yeah, people were telling me that Michael Knowles was saying something. We could have had an entire Michael Knowles show. But anyway, we got an idea. He is responding to some TikTok Dawah. Hey, Daily Wire, you should actually assign someone at the Daily Wire to do nothing but respond to TikTok Dawah. Someone's got to do that stuff. Hey, any of you who are watching and you want to be a content creator and you're not sure which direction to go in, there's lots of stuff that goes on TikTok that some of the OG YouTubers like me, we pay no attention to. We don't work well with the latest platforms or technology and so on. So if you wanted to do something you're not sure, just go pull up these 15, 20, 30-second TikTok Dawah videos and start responding to them. Start making videos responding to them. It's a popular thing because you've got all these super clueless young people watching TikTok videos, not knowing how to respond. And so if you offer the responses, then that would be something helpful. And let's see. Edgar Allan Poe has got nothing on the greatest poet. Edgar Allan Poe has got nothing on the greatest poet. He was intellectually molested. Edgar Allan Poe was intellectually molested by the real poet, Muhammad. Hat Mrs. AP. Oh. Hat Mrs. AP, dir das Vaterunser schon gelehrt?
Das Vaterunser. Vaterunser is the German term to refer to the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, Vaterunser. Huh, I did not know that.
Like Our Father.
Whoa. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense now. Oh, they call it the Our Father instead of the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's powerful.
So, did you answer ja to that?
I actually kind of almost, I think I learned it myself. I think I know it already.
Look at him looking up at his screen while typing into
I think
Wikipedia.
I'm not going to say it, but I think I know it from
you want to say it because we're all going to clip it and show it everywhere. You see, AP is reciting the Lord's Prayer.
That's specifically why I don't want to say it.
But what about in German? Do you know it in German?
No, actually not. No.
Unser Vater.
Vater unser. Something.
All right, everyone. So, wanted to do a short show going through that. People wanted us to take a look at it. Again, hope the Daily Wire ends up doing some more TikTok Dawah responses. I will be live again on Robert Spencer's channel in about 27 minutes. About 27 minutes for This Week in Jihad. This Week in Jihad should be super dope and super based. As far as me and AP, I don't think we have any firm plans on what we're doing for the next couple of days, but people should keep their eyes out, right?
Yeah, I think we will be live tomorrow. Pretty much sure that we will be live tomorrow. And we might be talking about some interesting things, man. Interesting things.
Interesting, super dope stuff, ladies and gentlemen. And be sure to check us out on Twitter if you're there, because we've been having a blast. We've been having some serious fun over on Twitter. Hey, hang on. Matter of fact, before we sign out, see, AP, you're better at Twitter than I am. You're better at Twitter, so you keep posting these things that take off. Whereas for me, when something starts taking off, it's kind of weird. But for you, it happens all the time. But let me see. I just posted something that took off for some reason. Oh yeah. I said, okay, yeah, it was about the grooming gang thing in the UK. But 1.2 million views. That was interesting to me, that because again, this happens to you pretty regularly, but my stuff normally doesn't take off like that. But 1.2 million views. on a tweet from a couple of days
Really?
ago. No, that was a tweet from yesterday. That was a tweet from yesterday morning, man. 1.2 million views in a day and a half. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
You're on Twitter?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, the point there is everyone's got a role to play. If you're making content, make good content. Keep getting better at making content. If you're not making content, you can still learn a point, learn an important hadith, get an important hadith down, get an important Quran verse down. If you're doing apologetics, get an important Bible verse down, and so on, and just keep sharing that. If 1,000 people share one interesting point with, and each of those 1,000 people share it with one person, that's another 1,000 people who have caught on. It is very easy to multiply and amplify your effectiveness. So be doing that. And if you're not doing any of that, you just share other people's stuff. You see a video you like, share that thing. You see a tweet you like, share that. A Facebook post, share that. These are good times for sharing information rapidly. What are you saying?
I see how it took off. I mean, you usually don't tweet stuff like this. You usually just tweet like meme format or quoting people and putting a clown emoji. This one is actually really good. The weirdest thing about the Pakistani rape gangs is
hey, what are you doing? Saying all this mean stuff.
They're superior to the non-Muslims around them. Islam somehow convinces serial gang rapists and pedophiles.
It does. It's weird, man.
Who immigrated to another country and sell kebabs and shawarma, that they're better than everyone else simply because they mindlessly obey the ramblings of an illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan robber who arped a prepubescent girl. And we're supposed to believe this repulsive nonsense is from God.
Hey, you know why I normally don't post stuff like that? Because in my mind, it's always like, once you go beyond the characters and people are going to have to click on it, then it's like people aren't going to click on it, so you're not even going to finish your thought, right? But obviously people did click on it.
You know what's funny? I see some people responding to you positively in agreement in your comment section, like Lucy Brown. Lucy Brown is somebody that I have been following for quite a while because she's one of those people who are actively posting about Andrew Tate as well. I remember quite a while ago, maybe half a year ago or so, she would say that she doesn't think Islam is a problem, and she would refuse to actually say something against Islam. But now she posts in agreement here, so maybe something changed her mind. And some people change their minds online. You see?
People change. You see that, guys? And when people are changing their minds, it's usually changing their minds in our direction.
Powerful.
AP knows the Lord's Prayer. You see, he's a Christian. Yes.
See. Oh, here's how it goes in German. Wait a minute. Vater unser im Himmel, geheiligt werde dein Name, dein Reich komme, dein Wille geschehe, wie im Himmel, so auf Erden. Unser tägliches Brot gib uns heute und vergib uns unsere Schuld, wie auch wir vergeben unseren Schuldigern. Und führe uns nicht in Versuchung, sondern erlöse uns von dem Bösen. Denn dein ist das Reich und die Kraft und die Herrlichkeit in Ewigkeit. Amen. Sounds much better than in English.
Is that Luther Bible or a modern one?
Modern.
Good stuff. King Troll says, bless you guys. Thank you. And Jingoistic Pig said, Hamas statement of victory shared on my Twitter reads like Mojab wrote it. And David will only be allowed to say time to rock if TikTok is banned. Is TikTok getting banned? I've been hearing about that for a while, but I've never actually seen it. Yeah, what am I going to say? Wait a minute. Me saying TikTok, time to rock, had nothing to do with TikTok. They stole their name from me, huh?
This is from the Luther Bible. Okay.
Luther Bible. Yeah. And yes, we will. Hey, maybe we need to check out the Hamas statements. Maybe we'll do that in a live stream. All right, everyone. I'll be live in about 20 minutes on Robert Spencer's channel. Catch you all then.